or didn't feel like it, she still did it, and I'm very thankful for that.
I'm thankful, of course, that we won first place after putting all this dedication and working really hard. I didn't think that we could do it, but we did it, obviously. And I'm just really proud of me and my team that, you know, we won and we got this far. Yeah.
I'm really proud of that we all stick together, right? We didn't argue, we didn't fuss and fight about it. We all stick together the whole time. So that's what I'm proud of.
I'd like to give thanks to Miss Emily also for giving us this opportunity.
Also,
Thank you guys.
I would also like to give thanks to my sister and then my friends, because no matter what, no matter how hard, no matter how nervous I got or how hard I thought this was going to be, they was always there for me to tell me to keep going. It'll be okay, and we got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mentorship is important, and it's truly really important here in the District of Columbia. You know, when I was living in Chicago, I realized that there were a lot of Black folk who never made it to like downtown Chicago or the office buildings in Chicago, right? So they never had that experience, right? Some of that is similar here in DC, in that some of our students in Ward 7 and 8 don't cross over into Northwest DC. So the mentorship is truly important because, you know, as a student here, you're not building that social capital. And now at age 18, 19, 20, 21, we expect you to cross over this bridge and then interview with folks that you might never have the experience with, right? And so what a mentor allows our students to do is to learn to present themselves, also grow their own familiarity with talking to someone who might and more than likely look much different from them when they're being interviewed. And so that piece is key here.
The mentors and the workshop leaders, people who participated in our roundtables this summer, they were not shy about sharing their own personal testimonies and their stories and their challenges and their adversities and their hardships and what they had to push through in order to become successful. So then what? Those entrepreneurs, those successful businessmen and women are speaking the same language as our students. So now our students are saying, wow, this is somebody who is successful in spite of. This is somebody who persevered and pressed through in spite of. So now I no longer have any room for excuses. I have no room to hesitate or to be unsure or lacking in confidence about my skills and talents and abilities, or think that somehow I won't make it because of external circumstances that are beyond my control. Because these people made it through, I made it through, and I had a tough life growing up.
I could tell you the stats. I could tell you of the numerous studies that show that if you are quote unquote low income, that without the support of an adult mentor, it doesn't matter how great the education is, you're probably not going to get ahead. I can do all that. But I think it's life experience, and anybody watching this, I think you know that it's the relationships you have that drive you forward in life. And when you have an adult that cares about you, that is willing to listen to you and allow you to make mistakes and even encourage it, that is liberating and that is life-changing. So I think mentors are a powerful asset to build, and in many ways, if there were a two-sided coin, I would say there'd be one side of that coin.
Mentoring at Build is an incredibly rewarding experience. Our mentors come from a variety of backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, aspirations, all in an effort to give our students that network of support system. Whether that's with their pitch competitions, getting their business ideas, they give them, professional advice, but also sometimes students just need support outside of the classroom. Someone to talk to vent to. That's what our mentors provide, is genuine connection. And that's actually what the heart of our program is through our mentors and our students and our teachers. That connection is what helps our students to grow.
At Build.org, we don't just help students build businesses with our entrepreneurship program. We help them build confidence. We help them build character and help them build resilience.
Build's #1 priority is just to prepare their students for the future. I was, in fact, the last person to join Build out of all of my friends, and I saw them all working on their different products, all these cool little gadgets and things, and I was just like, I have to be a part of that. I want to do that.
Build gave me the chance to experience things hands-on and see the world in a different view. They have taught me the spark skills of working with others, having better communication skills and problem solving. I always haven't been a confident person until I came and joined Build.
Build students, build relationships with business mentors, and build bridges to their communities that lead them to new opportunities. We're building a more diverse and inclusive workforce by helping students build the entrepreneurship skill set needed to thrive in a rapidly changing world.
If it wasn't because of Build, I don't think that I would have the confidence I have now. Build actually gave me the leadership skill that I needed to be my own leader. They always guide us in the correct direction and how we should really just handle ourselves. I think that they do an amazing job with that. All this influence that I have and the lessons that they teach me are definitely making an impact on how I live my daily life, and clearly they're doing something right. So I think, yeah, Bill definitely has a positive impact on the decisions I make.
See what we're building together at build.org and find out how you can help us build a better future for all our young people.
My name is Ayana Moody. I'm the Director of Social Impact for the Warriors Community Foundation, and I am Jenny. Build really helped me to hone in my skills and unique gifts and be able to channel all the energy that I had into something great. And I was able to start Dizzy Inc., a greeting card business, when I was in middle school, and it helped me to bring my passion to wanting to serve people and also make money. And it was a phenomenal experience. And I think what I learned the most that I take from Build is corporate social responsibility. You know, baked into our business plans, we had to learn about how do we give back. You know, you make a lot of money in business, and how could we give back and really support, you know, Oaklanders, support youth at our school, and that concept always stuck with me. And so now, as the Director of Social Impact in Generation Thrive for the Warriors Community Foundation, I'm able to still think about those skills that I learned in Build when I was in the 8th grade. It's incredible when you really think about it. I grew up in Oakland, and I know that there weren't a lot of business professionals that I came across in my hometown, especially in my neighborhood. And so Build was able to really show me about different industries, but then also, you know, have mentors in my life that were in business, that were able to talk to me about the highs and the lows of building a business, sustaining a business, but also why it's so important to give back each and every day. And they shined a mirror into how I wanted to change and be a different person. You know, they didn't let me come in as half myself. They made sure I came in my full self, ready to really dig in, really ready to collaborate, ready to learn about something different. And they didn't take my half excuses. And that was hard for me because I don't feel like that I came across people that really challenged me to be a better me. And so honestly, it was so life-changing.
Let's grow each other's dreams. Let's heal each other's souls. We've all got things to learn from those on the other side of the tracks. When COVID hit, I'm reminded of where our country is and how far we have yet to go. With the racial reckoning of the last year, people are searching for ways to rise up. We'll be starting to build a new Generation Entrepreneur. Overlooked and underestimated, this generation is ready to rewrite the narrative of who they are and what they're capable of. They innovated in response to our challenge question: how might we help people thrive mentally and physically in the midst of the pandemic? No longer interested in fighting the old, they have focused all of their energy on building the new. What if every student in every public school in America was learning to think and act like an entrepreneur? This is Generation E, a diverse new generation of entrepreneurial leaders and change makers.
Live stream. We are so excited to have you here. I'm Julie Tumez, your host and Build's creative director. Today we have amazing news. We have a huge product launch for Build, our biggest of 2026, with an amazing partner, Adobe. We are so excited that today we're going to be launching the product this week. And we have Adobe here with us. And we're going to be just going through what made the product, the partnership. Also, our Adobe guest, Wezi Hindwa, will be also talking about her contributions and how she was making the tutorial and the core pieces of the module. So we're really excited today, and we're going to be really just diving in. As always, we are super excited to have a new guest and all. This is a live stream that happens every other week for Build. So we do talks about our educational programming. We have mentors stories, we have student stories, teacher stories. So please tune in every other week and we will dive in. So today, actually this week, yesterday was the big day. We launched the product with Adobe. It is called Basics of Branding with Adobe. Is actually our Fambiz expansion pack. So as you know, or have already played educators, the one of our core programming curriculum is called Build's Fambiz CEO Simulation Game. And so this is the first of hopefully many parts of our expansion pack. And it is already ready to go curriculum. Teachers can introduce it. It can be from one class period to really up to a week or more, with this amazing partnership and building off of Adobe Express. Students are now not over their own CEOs of their own life. They're actually the creative directors and chief marketing officers of their own lives and their own business. So the business, they're actually creating that they went through the simulation of the game, and now they're going in to create the ads, the flyers, the logos of that business that they created in the first piece. So I'm going to bring on Sybil Wells, our Regional Executive Director of the Mid-Atlantic, to talk to us and co-host with me with this amazing launch, because really it's because Sybil and her team started this partnership with Adobe, and that's why we have this product today. So I'm going to bring Sybil on. Thank you so much, Sybil, for coming. And yeah, please just introduce yourself first. And we're so excited to have you here hosting.
Thank you so much. And I love my co-host. So thank you, Julie. Everyone, we're super excited. My name is Sybil Wells. I do serve as the Mid-Atlantic Regional Executive Director. And what that means, I have the honor of leading with a great team in New York City and DC. And so today, talking about this journey is amazing. It originally started where we saw the need in the classroom. We needed to meet our students where they were, and we needed to help the teachers to have those resources to bring out their creativity in the space of creating and being innovative. And so for us, it all started with basics, taking the teachers, having these training sessions with the different schools that we were working with in New York. And in these training sessions, the teachers were not getting certified. And then after they got certified in Adobe, we were bringing it into the classroom. And I want to frame the conversation to show you how important it was. The students were absorbing what Adobe Express had to offer. And actually, our Build Fest competition in 2025, the student group that won from Staten Island Ralph McKee High School actually was Fifth Guard, and they used Adobe Express to build their pitch competition deck. And it was amazing. The colors, the graphics popped out, and it was evident the difference in terms of what they were creating. So Julie, I just want to frame how that started the journey. Then a light bulb went off. My team, my amazing group, the Program and Devo team, saw a grand opportunity. And then we had the honor of meeting Rachel Itaru, who's like, I love this idea. And she was at Build Fest and saw what the students created. And so we could expand and take this a step further. And then this is how we brought the two together, where we brought the Fambiz CEO simulation and Adobe together to figure out how to make the students have more resources to be creative, and how did this come into the classroom to help them with identity. So that was the journey, and that's how it started.
Amazing. And tell us, I mean, just I love hearing student stories. So I have to pop. What was FizzGuard?
Yes. So FizzGuard, and Julie says that with excitement because she got a little sample, and their products sold out. So the word fizz, right? When you open a can of soda or anything that has bubbles, you want to maintain that fizz. No one wants to drink a flat drink. And so our students created a product that you put on top of the can as you drink to protect the beverage, right? Safety. Nothing can get in there, but definitely your fizz can't get out. And so before I could even go by, they had sold out. I had to request an order. And so the graphics that they had, you could see the person opening the can and the fizz bubbles are coming out. I mean, it was just amazing in terms of how they used Adobe Express to brand themselves and tell the story. And it was really, really a great presentation. And so that was the product that they developed and they sold in the marketplace, and it sold within, I'd say 30 minutes, they were sold out.
Amazing. Now, I always love to tell the stories of the student groups because they come up with the most innovative ideas. And again, it was Adobe Express that kind of could bring that to life. So I love that that's FizzGuard. It's what started this whole thing. You never know.
Exactly.
And so tell me tell just a little overview of kind of like how this partnership worked, because this was one of our first, this wasn't just, a donation. This was a real co-design partnership that we got to work with Adobe and really go from, what we want this product to be for our students, also what it can be for Adobe. So how did that work out, and what was that like, Sybil?
It was actually a labor of love. I will own that. But in terms of the little pieces that you just have to make work, but the creative process, right? The human design process of it all was amazing because Adobe was in the room when it was happening. So it was the program staff, our program director, Kenya George was present. We had our Devo team present at the time. Pamela Minetti was there with us. And Dakota Letman, and we were all in the space talking about the project. And then little by little, we said, okay, this is getting momentum. And we hear that, let's make a proposal. And so when we create the proposal and we design what we wanted the partnership to initially look like and what it would be, creating the journey for the teacher to the student to the classroom with Adobe, we put the proposal together and we were meeting weekly, just designing what the sessions would look like, where the trainings would be. We went to the headquarters in New York City. We had the teachers present, staff present. We were online virtually to touch the teachers that couldn't attend in person. And it was really great energy just going through the process to get to that point, because it was literally talking about what did we want the teachers to get out of it and what did we want to provide our students with so they can honestly become true entrepreneurs, understanding how they can brand their product, and ultimately the conversation about how you brand yourself as a result.
That's one of my actual favorite pieces of the product. Just really the product actually takes you from personal branding. So just kind of introduces how you can introduce yourself and how that is an important part of branding, figuring out your strengths. And so first it kind of walks the students through kind of an identity reflection. And so that's how this product actually starts. It starts with self, which is one of my favorite parts of how the journey goes, and then goes into understanding what is a brand, what is the concept. And then finally, where Wesley comes in, which she'll be coming in a few minutes, is where we start talking about, okay, now let's get into creation. Now that you've already had some kind of understanding of concepts and yourself, your personal branding.
Yeah.
So love that.
And Julie, to share, when you asked about the journey, that was part one. To get to the module, to get to Wesley, that was a whole other design thought. It was just like, wait, the spark went off, all pun intended. And we said, you know what? We can create an opportunity to incorporate this into the module. And it was important because with Fambiz and Adobe coming together, that means reaching even more students. on something that's so important in terms of identity. And so that was the next piece. That was a second grant, a second proposal. And you were involved too, the meetings that we were sitting together and talking about. How do we birth and create this? And we were excited to have Wesley because we felt as an education specialist, she would be an amazing addition and to make this come to life the way we saw it and envisioned it.
Amazing. And obviously we're so excited to have Wesley here today, but we're gonna pause for a little bit more because we want to invite Mo into the room. So Sybil, I'll let you kind of take over hosting, and let's also bring in let's flash back to the OG Fambiz before we go into the expansion pack.
So I'm excited too, because having Mo Foster part of this project was the other exciting piece, because Mo has the ability to understand as an educator, to understand what our students need to be motivated, to be basically poked into thinking and being very creative and just bringing out that desire out of them. And that is a very important skill of an educator. But in this instance, Mo is the creator of the Fambiz CEO simulation. And Mo really is the OG and can bring to us, basically ground us in understanding what was the intent, how this all started, and pretty much get folks to understand how we got to the Fambiz expansion. But let's talk about that foundation. One thing about me, the history is important so you can understand the future. So, Mo.
Oh, well, it's good to be here. The thing about Fambiz, it started out as one of the craziest after work calls you'll ever get in the middle of the pandemic. I'm walking around in my socks. I get a call from Ryan Oliver, and he's like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a video game? He's like, just hang with me. And it was like a video game that was like a sandbox version of the program, of Build. Now, here's the thing. I love Build so much. All you had to do was say, we try to make some more Build. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. Whatever it is. Could have been anything. And I would have jumped on it, right? And it took us on a 3-year journey. Of a microcosm of what it's like to be in a year 1 Build class. That's what it's supposed to feel like. So it's supposed to feel like, it's a bunch of decision making, right? It's quick. You have to make these decisions, and you make some money and you can apply that to make some more decisions. It's all about what are you going to do when all these decisions come up throughout the year. Right. And it's focused on or undercover. It's focused on the 5 Ps, right? Which is something that students can really grasp and you can take away. So in one thing, you're like, that's right, because where do you sell it? Who are we selling it to? How much does it cost? Right. All of those things. And then also those spark skills of problem solving, it's mostly problem solving. It's a little self-management, right? There's some moments that poke at you and you're like, I should revenge, and you're like, no, that's right, it's a business, and so and then and it really makes you examine how you like to collaborate, right? And so these are just huge things, huge learnings that any student who touches the Build curriculum for any amount of time are going to go through. And it was just how do we kind of stuff all that experience into this CEO simulation?
And Mo, there's another element that was incorporated, the sense of community.
Oh,
so I got real competitive. Right. I was playing it with my peers when you had us all, and I was like, wait a minute. What decision do you make? I don't want to, spoil it. You want to learn for yourself. Whoever's out there, you're going to have to play. But when you're playing the game, you've got to have a certain level of self-agency and sense of community to answer the question correctly. And that is what I loved about it. So if you want to shed some light on how that process was. That was deliberate.
It was actually the most complicated part of the game technically as well, was making these decisions. So, I'm talking about we're sitting side by side, me and developer saying, but how many points is that worth? I made this decision. how does it affect your community health, right? So every decision that you make in the game affects three things. It affects your personal health, your community health, and your team's health, right? And your team health is your business health, essentially. Okay. And then the money is not something you get to worry about. You're going to make money in the game. And at first people were like, you're just making money for no reason. But it's like you're making money for every decision that you make, right? And, but also you would be losing money if you just made a series of like really, detrimental decisions. So how do you make decisions that sometimes you make a decision, it's like the community doesn't love it, right? But you have time to make up for it in future decisions, right? And so that's really cool, because those are the conversations you're having with a student, right? When they're coming to you and they're really frustrated about something happening with their team or something happening with the business, you're asking them to say, okay, well, if you do that, then what happens here, right? What are the ramifications, right? And how's that going to feel for you? Are you going to be able to handle that, right? Because that's your personal health and things like that. So it was really cool to sit through where Julie talks about the stories, to sit through and think about all of the stories, right? I taught Build for 700 students. So I was like, and so that there are certain themes that are just going to come up every year, every class, every group, right? And so it's like uplift those and let's deal with them within the first month of class if we can.
That leads me to my follow-up, because now, being the guru that you are, right? You get it. At what point, what was the cue that you knew that told you Fambiz was really working for the students? What did they do that you noticed and you're like, oh, this is working?
During testing, this not even there are other people who can really speak, Marisol can really speak to testing and working with the students. But one of the things is when they were like, well, I can't save it, they're testing it. And they're like, I can't save it, right now because we're in this phase. It's just not one of the things that we've gotten down. And I was like, oh, okay, because you want to come back to it, right? And that's a big deal. You think about how many times kids do not want to come back to the thing we were just talking about. It's not done. And they're like, oh, we're doing that again. It's like, we didn't even finish. Of course we're doing this again. So when you're working with students and they're like, well, I'm not going to be able to save it, or just give me a few more minutes, or can I stay in this Zoom room, right? You're like, okay, it's working. And folks were talking about the characters, right? That's such a big deal. A big part of it is we wanted the characters to look like the communities served, and that was a big deal too. When folks really locked in on these characters, that we were spending a lot of time. We're like, are we spending too much time?
So the other piece to it is that at this point, there is sparks of, and I keep using the word spark because it's just fitting. There's sparks of creativity starts to happening in terms of how you answer the questions. Right? And then there's sparks about being, I would say, creative and expressing yourself, because now you're realizing you've got to make these decisions, answer these questions. And as you do it, because I'm playing this game and I'm like, wait a minute, if I answer this question this way. So now I'm thinking about myself and how I see myself making these decisions, identity-wise, what do I identify with? And so that is how I found that the game was doing what it was meant to do, because I couldn't control it. It was just happening to me.
And when folks start saying, well, why doesn't it have this option, right? I was like, oh, you deep in the game now. You remixing the game, making new levels. Well, why doesn't it have this? Why doesn't it have that, right? That's how you know there's actual engagement, right? Where they're like, well, this could have been an option too. And they're talking about it, right? In the game. Anytime there was conversation, people stopped to look around and ask them, have you gotten to this part? And they wanted to have a conversation. That was the dream. The dream was that it would cause discourse.
Exactly. And this is the perfect time to bridge into the conversation about how Fambiz was actually the natural opportunity to deepen the creativity and the expression of students.
Well, that was the thing that was missing. I mean, just to be honest, right? It's a great CEO simulation, right? But students, teachers, anybody who knew Build especially were like, it's so cool. Just wish there was one personalized, I can get my hands on it because I'm used to doing experiential learning piece, right? And it was and in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, one day, right? Like, of course, when you're talking big ideation years ago about this game, it's like in one day we'll just have a partner and there'll be something plug and play and it'll be great, right? Like they'll be really good at that and they'll have, and like, that's why you got to write things down. Write them down.
And Mo, I absolutely love it. Mo mentioned the characters that are in Fambiz, and it's funny because with the expansion pack, we're taking the first character after, actually, just a side note, the main character, Mo, you've been humble, is actually, you might see a resemblance to Mo themselves right here. So snaps to having one of the key characters in Fambiz with us on this live stream. But what I was saying was one of the things about this expansion pack is we're actually going into the mind of one of the characters, one of the team members of your company. So one of the first choices Mo was saying, there's Fambiz is really like a decision tree, right? You have a decision, you make it as a student. Hey, should I hire a team member or should I go solo? And then you press it, and then the decision goes on, if then or else. That's the whole thing about the simulation. But what Mo was just saying, which was amazing, was the students especially, wanted more. They wanted to get into the dynamics of actually running a business now that they've done all the decision making with the simulation game. And so with this next expansion pack, we dive into, I think it was the chief marketing officer that you have the potential to hire, because that was another decision of the simulation game. You could decide which team member to then hire. So you could decide, a sales director or a marketing director or a financial director. And now we're going into the mind of our first teammate, which was the chief marketing director, or kind of the creative director. And that's where this expansion pack is kind of going. And I just want to, this was amazing. Thank you, Mo, so much. I want to hear more about how you're diving in and thinking about continuing to be such a huge part of the design process in the expansion pack. But I am super excited to pass it over to Sybil to introduce some of our Adobe team as we dive into the newest basics of branding with Adobe for this expansion pack, the first one from our CEO simulation game. So Sybil, I'll give it away to you.
I see that we have Teresa here with us. So I'm going to start with Teresa. How are you? I'm happy to have you. And Teresa, we've worked so much together. This journey has been amazing. So everyone who wants to know who Teresa and Teresa is representing Adobe. She's the principal lead for K-12 strategic NGO partnerships. And that is a mouthful, and that's because she does a lot. And she has been amazing. And Teresa, I think I want to kick off with you talking about why you felt this partnership was special and what you was hoping for it to develop, to birth for your students that are using Adobe.
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy I was able to join. This partnership has been a dream. At Adobe, we believe that creativity is a foundational life skill, not just a nice to have. And this work here is part of the Adobe Digital Academy, our commitment to help educate 30 million learners by 2030 with the creative, digital, and AI skills that they need to succeed. And middle schoolers and high schoolers are pivotal years when students are forming confidence and identity. I myself have a middle schooler, so I know that to be true. And when they're invited to create and tell their stories and build something real, something with this stimulation, learning becomes really empowering. And I just love this Fambiz modulation. When I first saw it, I was just blown away that kids can be their own CEO, CMO, whatever. It's their business, right? And they have a chance to really do real life. It's not hypotheticals. They're building a real business and real brands. So I feel like this partnership truly we're grounded in shared values and trust and deep respect for the students' potential. And I think that's why it's been such a dream.
That's amazing that you described it like that, Teresa. And it has been a pleasure being with a like-minded partner and thought partner in this process. We've been here from the beginning when we started the journey. And although Rachel Itaru is not in the room, but she is truly a leader in this space, and she saw the vision also with you. And this makes me want to elevate that, there was also meeting our students who we were serving. This is free.
Yes. 100%.
I think that's an important piece. So Teresa, can you share why it's free? I think people need to understand. This is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes. So equity and access were non-negotiable for us, for Adobe, for you all, I think too. And educators are already stretched so thin. It's so critical that this is free, classroom ready, and easy to implement. If a curriculum is powerful but hard to use or costly, it won't reach the students who need it the most. And that matters deeply to me, to Adobe, to all of my team on the education side. And I think access is how impact actually happens. So yes, for those of you who don't know, Adobe Express for Education is 100% free for all of K through 12 teachers, educators, and students.
Yes, and I wanted to elevate that free part because it was about equity, right? And meeting our students and addressing the digital divide. I think that's so important. And our partners with Fambiz and Adobe understood and believed in that as well. So I thought that was excellent. And thank you, Teresa, for elevating that. Julie, do you have any questions for Teresa?
Yeah, I was talking, Teresa, thank you so much for joining. We are so happy to have you, not only today on the live stream, but all your work that you've put into this amazing product. And truly, we're so excited to launch this week. So I think we just we're talking to Sybil earlier about partnerships like this, and really the fact that Adobe is able to elevate the work of smaller NGOs and what you're doing with that. I'm curious about just, tell us a little bit about that work, kind of maybe a little bit more on a broader scale, and then how did Build kind of catch your eye, and how'd you dive in?
Yeah, so Build is one of our, I guess, grantees, and you work with my my CSR partner, the Corporate Social Responsibility Partner. As Sybil mentioned before, Rachel, who can't be here, she's on maternity leave. She just had her second child. So this is part of the Adobe, as I mentioned, Adobe Digital, oh my God, I'm having a brain, Digital Academy program. And so I think they really saw potential, again, with both of our, the alignment in believing in children, in education, and also making sure that we are providing equity in this space for kids who need it the most. I work with tons of other nonprofits, and like you mentioned, my role is on the education side. And so I work with CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility, but I also work with other nonprofits. But my role is really to connect all the dots, make sure that educators in schools and districts know that Adobe Express is free, because a lot of times they don't know that. And Sybil was really good at stressing that on this Zoom right here. And then also making sure that they have access, because sometimes the districts have to turn it on and there's technical issues. So we have teams of people within my org that can help with that. So I'm really the person that's making sure that all the people that needs to be in touch are connected, and that things are working well. And if they aren't, we'll fix it. And it's also a way to collect feedback by working closely with teachers. I know we have Wesi here, who is from our community team. She's always out and about talking with educators and students, but she and her team gets a lot of feedback. And we bring it back to the product team so that we can provide better products that's easier to use and have features that teachers can use in the classroom that are helpful to students.
This is the perfect segue, and I think Julie will agree. Wendy Kindwa, I think I said it right, is educator specialist extraordinaire representing Adobe today. And Wendy, we're grateful to have you, excited to have you. You bring such an element of spark to this project. And I just want everyone to learn more about you before we dive into the nitty gritty of it all. Just kind of highlight and share, your journey, how you entered this space, and then we can talk about more about the project.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks again so much for having me. This was a project that literally stopped me in my tracks. As Teresa said, I'm always out and about, and my role is part of the community field team to evangelize about the amazing tools and learning that we provide. And so I am constantly on the go. So seeing a project like this, it was really wonderful to be invited to be a part of. And so, yes, you did pronounce my name correctly. I'm Wezi Tindwa. And I'd like to say I actually landed at Adobe as a result of a series of fortunate events that all started with really an inherited love of teaching and learning. I had a grandmother with whom I was very close, and she was a lifelong educator and started her own school in Malawi, which is my native country. And, it was her mission that all students should have access to social mobility through education in a time and a place where that wasn't the case for all students, all kids. And so that was, I say inherited because I feel like it's in my bones to carry on the education mission, and other educators in my family too. But just starting at that inception, my career has been spent in teaching and learning, and here at Adobe, I like to say I've worn a lot of hats in educational head wraps, and I feel like at this point they all kind of blend together in creating entry points to help students feel capable and creative, and equip educators to do the same. And at the end of the day, Mo, what you were speaking to was a very human element in the mission and the goal behind a game or any product really that we put out there for students. And something that you had said that resonated with me was just creating discourse. But also, I think it's really important, that sense of capability, like knowing exactly what hooks students is a barrier that often we experience to tapping into potential and into creativity is feeling capable. And so I think that, one of the results of what we do is helping people feel capable. Like I can step into something that's in front of me and I can do that. What do you mean I don't have to pay for that? Like that's almost an automatic barrier that they hit, but it's just as soon as we start to provide entry points to helping people tap into areas of themselves that they might not have seen before, then we're doing bigger things than we even can imagine. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Long story short, but just, I love what I do, and just getting to continue to work in education through technology and through creativity.
And that makes me want to elevate. You create the educational video content, and I know you're a celebrity doing it. I'm just going to say it. And I remember when we had to decide, we needed someone to do the tutorial for our module that would excite, invigorate, and motivate our students. And Wezi, your name came up. And we thought it was a long shot. And Mo was like, you get Wezi? This is amazing. And I'm like, let's ask. It's kind of like we were gearing up, like you're asking your parents to go on a special night trip, and you hope they say yes. And then I believe it was Teresa. Yeah, we were begging Teresa. And then we found out you can do it. And I want to lead with that, because the fact that you were able to do this was amazing. So I really want to get wrapped around when you were doing the module, the tutorial, How did you feel? What were the key elements you wanted to make sure that you did that was actually separate from your other tutorials? What particularly with this one, how did you prepare to do that particular piece?
Well, when I created the intro video, I was very intentional about tone. I wanted it to feel more human and encouraging. My route as an educator is to be instructional. And the goal with being instructional is to make connections between people and content. And so I just didn't want to lose sight of that. Part of my role in being community is also to connect through human experience stories. So how am I telling a story about an experience that's also human, even though I'm not necessarily in front of you, but connecting in that way. So that's where tone comes in. And I just wanted to be, kind of be true to myself in that way. So I start with that. It's just kind of looking at what is it that I'm trying to say and how does Wesley say it? Like, how's Wesley going to present this even outside of a camera? And that's where I started with. And then we've got, the tools to put the videos into production and to put the assets together. And at Adobe, we have lots of tentacles with that. We have a content team that drives in product content, templates that you see, activities that you see. So I want to shout out my dear colleague, Tanya Avrith, who created the visuals that you're seeing there through the templates. Absolutely incredible. And so there's a machine and a team that works on that visual stimulation and that visual appeal. And I'm lucky that, I get to have access to these tools. And so we want students to also have access to tools so that they can communicate their learning in new ways, in fresh ways, in exciting ways, in ways that, makes them more curious. So that's where I start with just like the interaction part of it. And then everything else, everything else has support you can do. You can put together tools and resources, but at the end of the day, you just have to kind of check in at the human level.
I love that. And I think this is the perfect time to segue into the video. Ralph Biotero, who's here, thank you for being our tech guru here. And let's play that video so everyone can see what you just described.
Hi there, I'm Wesley with Adobe for Education, and welcome to the Fambiz CEO Simulation Adobe Express Marketing Lesson. I am really excited to share with you that you are now the CEO of Family Cookie Company. That means you're in charge and you get to build this beautiful brand that people crave even before they've tasted your cookies. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, let's talk about your brand mindset. The best brands don't just sell products, they sell a vibe. So that's your colors, your logos, your posts. That's what gets people talking about Family Cookie Company and then lining up for more. So know that marketing is storytelling. It's your voice, it's your vibe, it's what makes you stand out. Digital marketing lets you meet and connect with the right audience at the right time with the right message. First stop, templates in Adobe Express. Search for bakery or cookie and pick one that matches Family Cookie Company. Fun and playful, sleek and pro, it's totally your call. Now, swap in your name, Family Cookie Company. Fonts matter. Rounded fonts feel friendly, script fonts feel homemade, bold fonts scream confidence. Try a few and see what fits your style. Next up, color. Warm browns and creams say cozy and fresh from the oven. Bright pinks and teals, fun, eye-catching, scroll-stopping. Black and gold, that's luxury cookie drops. Your colors are your company's personality. Have fun choosing. Make it pop. Add cookie icons, chocolate chips, sprinkles, whatever fits your story. Drag them in, resize, layer them up. Those little touches make your logo unique and memorable. Time to market. Create a post for Instagram or TikTok. Drop in your logo, cookie photos, and a tagline like, "Taste it to believe it. Family Cookie Company." animate your text, add stickers, make it scroll stopping. In Fambiz, your Adobe Express designs fuel your story on your packaging, in your ads, all throughout your pitch. So CEOs, it is now your move. Use Adobe Express templates to make your launch absolutely unforgettable. So let's play, let's create, let's win. Game on.
Amazing. So, Wesley, this question now I think is perfect to talk to you about. Why is it important for students and educators to see a real person guiding them through a creative tool? And it may be different for the student, it may be different for the teacher, but I would love to hear your point of view.
Yeah, why is that important? It's so important. My hope is that students will feel like somebody's inviting them in, that they are being welcomed into a space that's also going to test and challenge. And I think, and I truly believe that there is a lot of hidden potential underneath a sense of belonging. And so if you are working towards a goal and you've already made the decision to try something that's going to push and to reach you, and then you go in there and you're just like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be here, like I'm expected to be here, like this is for me. That I think that unlocks a different level of motivation.
I love that. And you said something that triggered a word in my mind. It brings humanity to the work, a humanness, right? And a connection. Because you can get lost in technology, but to have that invitation, that one-on-one from a person that can inspire you to understand your purpose and why you're in this particular, invite you to enjoy and learn and create is so important.
Invite you to enjoy. Yes.
Yeah. And so now, as we say that, Mo is another best one to do it. Mo, I think now's a good time to bring our audience into the world of how the module, those different pieces, and how the tutorial, where it comes in and how it plays here to have that invitation.
Sure. So yeah, right after the end of the Fambiz, simulation, you start the module. Within it, there's a really cool video talking about the importance of personal branding, which is important to the program because build always starts with the personal. We'll start here and then we'll talk about, right? We'll give you some skills. We'll build on some skills. And then from there, we'll allow you to create, right? Like that is like so much of what the curriculum does. And that's exactly what the module does. So you first, it's a little bit about personal branding. Then what is branding in the larger scope of things? And then now it's your turn, and you get, then Wesley comes. And what's really cool too, it's like one of the most human moments too of the whole thing. You've been seeing a lot of like, cartoon and animated characters. And then you're like, wait, what? This is real, when, and then you're launched into, right, that tutorial feeling, that shoring up, like, oh, I know what to do now, especially the way Wesley says it. You're like, I know what to do. I got it. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited. And you jump right into the creation. So it has all of those elements and some really cool checks for understanding within it, right? Because it's teaching the module itself.
And I'd love to add just, and then the final part right after Wesley, this is actually where Wesley mentioned, I think Tanya from the Adobe team was creating some of these templates, is that the student, as a student, you watch Wesley's video, you're diving in, you're feeling like, okay, I'm ready to create. And then what was really great is you have a choice, almost like with this Fambiz simulation. Which one are you going to design first? Is it the ad or the logo? Which one? The kind of the flyer or the logo? Which one? You pick one and it directly opens into Adobe Express with that template. And so that is where I think Wesley was saying, having students feel not overwhelmed by a platform, but invited in. And this is for me. Oh, all I need to do is maybe I'll just change some of these colors. Oh, that's pretty easy. Oh, maybe I'll now change some of these shapes. oh, I could do that too. And it's all the while looking good in this template that's already branded for the Fambiz CEO simulation, their cookie company. That's the actual company they're running. So very fun. That's where, Adobe Express comes right in, as Teresa was saying, all completely free. Not only the basics of branding with Adobe and the Fambiz expansion pack, but also Adobe Express for teachers and for students as well. So just wanted to add that onto Mo's kind of journey of the student. Just keeps on going.
I think that's perfect, Julie, for us to talk about impact, right? Because as you're saying it and you're talking about the personal branding, how this is not limiting creativity, they're getting invited in, it's approachable. I also think we have to unpack how this really opens the door for students to basically build their brand, but also building their identity and their business identity go together. And I think that's something that our young people are learning as they do this type of experience. But I think, and this is open to Wesley, Mo, us in the room that are the panel here, how does this experience change how students see themselves or their ideas?
That's a great question. My hope is that through learning by doing, there's an element of self-discovery there. I once read something that was that ended up being quite pivotal to my outlook on my career as a new college graduate years ago, and how there's a common mentality of, like we chase your dream, the thing that you're passionate about, like go for that. And they were like, we just want to flip this on its head a little bit, because sometimes passion comes after you find competencies, and you find competencies through chasing your curiosity. And so what was so crucial for me to know, as somebody who already was multi-passionate, and I was kind of like frozen, just like this, well, there's things that I can't tell the difference between what I like as a hobby and what I want as a career. And but also suffering from perfectionism, which is like, if I'm not good at that immediately, then that's probably not something I should be chasing. And that really shattered that and just said, the things that you can find yourself developing skills and developing competencies in areas and arenas that you might not have even thought possible for yourself. And we don't want experience to be a barrier for that. Like, just because you haven't done it for years and years, or you haven't grown up with this, or it wasn't part of your dinner table conversations in the family, so you're not familiar with business or entrepreneurship, or it wasn't your path of study, it doesn't mean that you can't get into that now. It doesn't mean that you can't do. And so I think even as young people, to know that there's the curiosity and the figuring out also leads to passion. And you can find something that you are connecting with that you didn't even dream that you could actually do or be before. But that challenge just has so much reward in it as far as your own self-discovery.
I love how you said, and I'm gonna use that again, how competency leads to confidence, which ultimately leads to passion.
Yeah.
You verbalized it in a way that I know it exists. I know that's what we're doing, the act, but to say it that way makes me visualize it different. And it leads up to the follow-up question. And please, you, Wesley, Mo, anyone can answer this too, is what would you say to an educator who's excited, right, but a little nervous? The confidence is shaky about teaching branding and design. What would you say to them? Wesley's smiling.
I have these conversations. I also want to let Mo, if you've got anything to add here, but yeah, I have these conversations often, and the subject, it's like insert subject here, right? It could be marketing, it can be creative thinking, it can be anything. And so I think the same goes is the first point of of action is making the decision that you're willing to try. Just making the decision, right? It's like that's the also the precursor to fear. It's just like the fear is going to tell you don't try it. But so you just have to like intellectualize your way out of the feelings of the fear. And so, or whatever, if fear feels strong, just whatever feels like kind of holding you back. So just making the decision to try it. And then knowing that within, especially like with a tool like Adobe Express, just knowing that the software is actually there to be a guide for you. There's a stripped down of complexity because we want everybody to go in there and be able to explore without feeling like, oh my gosh, I already didn't have the background knowledge in this, therefore I'm not going to acquire new knowledge in this. But actually it's that the exploration is the learning, and you can do that alongside your students. And that's the key, is that you don't have to be an expert in an entire software or the tool before you start teaching your students. There's that learning can happen in conjunction with your students, because you want your students to be applying, you want your students to be doing. And so it's like a shared source of who holds that learning. It's all of you, right? So I think sometimes that can, and I used to teach third grade, and I would be like, oh my gosh, if I was learning a new tool, that's historically the case. It's like we have to make sure that all there is, but we're in a time where our software is doing so much. And so it's always evolving as well. There's always something new. Me and my colleagues will be presenting, and it's just like, that just popped up there. And so it's just an understanding that while this tool that I'm using or that I'm stepping into, or this new content is ever evolving, so am I. I'm not going to know every detail before my students can start to engage with me. Oh, and Sybil, you're on mute.
Look at that. What I said, I was so excited for what she said. No, it's just great because the vulnerability allows that to happen, right? The educator, and I say this as an educator, I had to learn it's okay to be vulnerable with the student because we're learning together. It's a journey. And they're more comfortable because they're like, oh, my teacher's vulnerable. And this is okay. This is how it works. And so, Mo, I want to know if you have anything to add to that piece, because I know you smiled too.
I just, Wesi is brilliant. And, I told you I've been watching a lot of Wesi videos. So I'm like, yeah, say that. The thing for me that I always would also tell teachers is what I did, which was this was my secret weapon. Like now all the Build teachers are using Adobe, but it was my secret weapon when I was, and I was just me in a classroom. I was like, I'm gonna teach you guys how to make logos. No one else is making logos, And so for me, like the platform is an educator on, you know what I mean? You go to icons, you like, that's what an icon is this whole time. You know what I mean? Like everything is right there. It's labeled, and suddenly you have the words. So you're like, yeah, because you're just building up your assets, Oh, maybe you want to change this icon. Like literally one thing that teachers always know is how they learn, right? So whether you're going to model your learning practice in front of students and say, well, this is how I learn. I wrote all this stuff on the side. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Or I took a screenshot and then circled it and took notes on it. Whatever it is, when you learn with students, you give them the opportunity to also understand what it's like to narrate your learning process so that they can see what works for them as well.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to ask this, and I think this one's for Teresa. Teresa, what excites you the most about what this expansion makes possible going forward?
Well, I was just going to add to what Wesi and Mo just said is I learned so much. I teach my kid a lot of things. I might not be an educator in the school classroom, but I'm an educator like to my son and his friends. And through that, I learned so much. while I'm teaching him. So I totally agree, Mo and Wezzy. Like, you know, you learn while you're teaching. I really think that this program, the challenge, will really make a big impact because it will really empower all the kids that are willing to give it a go, and teachers who are willing to like be vulnerable and say, hey, let's do this together. Let's learn this together. I'm really thinking that it will teach them so much, empower them to think like entrepreneurs. My kid loves to bake. He and his little boyfriend, like there's a bunch of boys that just gets together every weekend and they bake. And I can totally see them doing this exercise. Like, oh, we should, they call it SF cookies.
I love it.
Or something, because we live
I love it.
But they're always constantly thinking, how can we make some money? Or they often donate their proceeds. Like they've done it in front of the house where they sell it to neighbors, and then we get the money and we donate it. But I really think that what we've put together here will really empower the kids. Like I said, I keep saying the word empower because it is such a powerful word, right? When you're not sure about, when you don't have that confidence, like Wezzy said, and, you know, competence, you gain the confidence, and then you gain the confidence, and then you have the passion. And kids just evolve so quickly, and they're so inspired by each other and by the classroom. But I think this particular exercise program challenge will really excite them too, because it's so fun and it's so easy. Like you all have said it, it's so easy to use that I'm hoping that they'll encourage each other and really, make it their own.
So, and that's a great note in saying that this collaboration and partnership is empowering our young people because we're providing them access to resources, and not just access, but you can give someone a key. If they don't know how to drive, it doesn't matter, but we're teaching them how to steer.
Yeah, access and the invitation, like Wezzy said, we're inviting
training.
So I love that. I just had to say, like, I love that concept. We are inviting them in, and I hope they take the invitation. I think they will, because it's nice to feel like you belong and you're, you know, been asked to participate. And then once they get in, they'll just have so much fun.
Absolutely. And I want to say, as we talk about empowerment and creating these free opportunities, it's important for people to support. So I could not leave here tonight and not talk about supporting the work that we do with our partners. And this is my shameless plug. If you see a QR code, it's somewhere, this is the way you can scan that, and you can find how you can support Build with donations to create these types of opportunities for our students in our schools. The curriculum is free. You know, the classroom, it's free, classroom ready. It's designed for grades 7 through 12. I want to reiterate all of this as we surmise for tonight. And educators can get started. All you have to do is go to build.org/Fambiz-Adobe. And so please, please visit, use it. The operative word is free. And I have enjoyed thoroughly talking to you all. I could go longer, but we can't. So I'm going to pass to my co-host, Julie.
Wezzy, Teresa, Mo, thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been amazing just kind of talking about where the product started, the journey, the students' journey, the educators' journey, everything. It's been amazing today. Again, thank you so much for joining. I also want to do a quick shout out to the Adobe team, Rachel Eduardo, Michelle Van Meer, Laterari, Michelle McLean, and Andrew Leon for helping the launch. And also on our build side, Marisol Burgueno, Mashada Melvin, Kenya George, Tony Knowles, and Thais Resende, our CEO, for really helping this come to life. So many others that have really just put time and effort into this module to be free for educators and for their students. So we're really excited to get this out there. And thank you all for joining tonight. And
shout out to you. And shout out to you.
Thank
you, Julie, the Calm Whisperer, and Melanie is here with us also. Shout out to you for support, Melanie.
And we're super excited. Hopefully see you in 2 weeks for our next Build live stream. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And our team is Academ IQ.
I am Kalea Baylor.
I am Kamari Dawkins.
And I'm Josiah Mason.
And what I say I'm proud of the event is that my team and I, that we had enough confidence and courage to go up there and, introduce everyone to our product, and that we memorized everything and we did it all.
What I am proud of is our dedication from the day we started to this day today. From us being to school on time, being in class, and being down, ready to do the presentation whenever we needed to. I'm also very thankful for my teacher, Ms. Selka, for helping us, even during from the morning from first period to her lunch break, from her lunch break to 13th period. I'm very thankful that she was able to help us. And even when she might have not had time or didn't feel like it, she still did it, and I'm very thankful for that.
I'm thankful, of course, that we won first place after putting all this dedication and working really hard. I didn't think that we could do it, but we did it, obviously. And I'm just really proud of me and my team that, we won and we got this far. Yeah.
I'm really proud of that we all stick together, right? We didn't argue, we didn't fuss or fight about it. We all stick together the whole time. So that's what I'm proud of.
I'd like to give thanks to Miss Emily also